meat, your body wouldn't be able to keep itself warm. That night, at dinner with Yegor, the mayor, I asked the question that had been troubling me for some time.
Are there any vegetarians here in Yakutia?
You know that for us, meat is very important. Without meat, we cannot be very healthy here.
No, I understand that.
Утром мясо, днем мясо, вечером мясо и ночью.
Three times meat. In the morning, afternoon, in the evening, even during the night.
During the night. Okay.
After dinner, things got even more macho. Despite all the vodka and all that meat, Yegor had challenged me to a bout of Saka stick pulling. And if the warm-up act was anything to go by, I was in no fit state to compete. Now, it was our turn. I was not looking forward to this.
Tear his head off.
Even the warm-up slaps hurt.
Yes, please. So, what do I win? Hey! Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah. Very good.
Sadly, it wasn't going to be that easy. All I'd won was the right to have my hands on the inside of the stick. Apparently, this constitutes an advantage.
Доктор наук из спорта Великобритания.
I could have beaten him, of course, but international relations dictated I lose. Next morning, there was an unexpected side effect of all that straining. Blessed relief.
I'm getting more and more worried now. Before I came, the highlight of this trip was going to be a rendezvous with some reindeer herders, because I thought, okay, it's going to be very interesting to go to this coldest town, but what would happen if you took away all the modern accoutrements of civilization? See if I can cope. But now, having been here for a few weeks, and the idea of suddenly taking away all the comforts of a built house is actually a bit worrying, to say the least.
My mission was to see what life was like at the meteorological extremes. Before I left England, I'd thought that I wanted to experience extremes without modern technology. Now, I wasn't so sure at all. 160 kilometres west of Oymyakon lies the Tinyatin Valley, home to a family of indigenous Even reindeer herders. They had agreed to let me join them for a few days to see how they coped tending their herds far from marked roads, let alone central heating and electricity.
Nick, how do you do? How do you do? Sura. Nick.
Once my Even-speaking translator, Olga, had introduced me to Petya and Shura, the family got on with that particular Siberian obsession, the procurement of protein.
To catch it. Yes, I've seen the guys that they're ready and they're not even wearing gloves, are they?
Yeah, they even didn't do it.
They're pretty hard men.
For Olga, an Even anthropologist from Yakutsk University, the beauty of this landscape was nothing new. But for me, it was breathtaking. In a strange Soviet hangover, the family didn't actually own their reindeer. They were paid to look after a state-owned herd. So I felt very honoured that they'd brought in half of the herd and were going to kill one to mark my arrival. The price of the carcass would be deducted from their meagre wages. This was going to be the last meal we had before setting off tomorrow on a 2-day trip to move the other half of the herd to fresh grazing.
Will you have some more meat? Did you get your piece of tongue? Do you need more?
Okay. So, and here is intestines,
Right.
reindeer intestines. And it's very healthy because it eats only herbs. I mean,
Intestines aren't my favourite, I have to say.
It's been a series of ups and downs this trip, and I'm approaching another downer, I think. When I first came to see the reindeer herders, I had the idea of staying out for a night with the herd. They sleep on the sledges, apparently. But Shura was telling me about when her snowmobile broke down, a good 8 hours walk from home. It was her and her son, and they started walking back, but she got very tired and lay down in the snow. And she said if her son hadn't made her get up and keep walking, she thinks there's no question she'd have died. And when I suggested to her that I might try staying out on the sledge at night, her answer was simple: you'll die. So maybe it's not such a good idea after all.
As an honoured guest, the family offered me a place by the fire that night, which I gratefully accepted, since tomorrow, despite my reservations, we were heading off on the herding expedition. The unearthly beauty of the valley provided a perfect example of the high-pressure atmospheric conditions that make Siberia so cold. Not even enough wind to blow the snow from the trees, and crystal-clear blue skies. There was even a temperature inversion, like the Oymyakon Valley, giving milky morning fogs. When I emerged from my sleeping bag, I found the family hard at work preparing for the herding trip. Having only one snowmobile, they travelled the 17 kilometres to their second herd on sledges, pulled by teams of semi-domesticated reindeer that live around the homestead. While the men prepared the beasts, Shura and Olga were looking after me.
there are socks, kind of socks, which are made of reindeer skin.
Fur, yeah.
So you have
To the Evans, my boots from Yakutsk were all very well for the city, but for spending whole days outside, it was better to have a double-skinned boot.
She's doing it barehanded, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Weak English man, that's where his girls all the time.
After the reindeer skin boots came a reindeer skin coat, half the weight of the sheepskin I'd bought in Yakutsk, but just as warm and better for working in, according to Shura.
It's very stiff.
You are warming, yes, and so this coat will get supple.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as I heat up, it
Yeah.
becomes more manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
The coat might get more supple when I heated up, but I was more worried about what happened when I cooled down, especially since I had a 3-hour sledge ride ahead of me, with only Olga to keep me warm. The coat performed wonderfully, but I did feel a little guilty being pulled along by reindeer while wearing one of their cousins.
This is the only way to travel in this landscape.
Yeah, it is ecological and harmful.
I guess the only downside is when these two reindeers in front of you
Yeah.
start crapping. It's quite
Yeah.
dangerous. Like now. I suppose it's better than frostbite on your
Yeah.
cheeks, but only just.
Yeah, black spots on your face.
Black spots instead, yeah.
Once we'd located the herd, it was all hands to the pump to set up the tent as quickly as possible. I was extremely relieved that we weren't going to be spending the night on sledges. This thing even had central heating of sorts. There was certainly no shortage of trees out here, which was just as well, since the branches were used for upholstery and, more importantly, insulation beneath a layer of reindeer skins. And the rest of the tree, more or less, was needed to boil the kettle and to get the intent temperature up above freezing. With Rudolph et al. Attended to, we settled down for tea and reindeer. I have sympathy with vegetarians and animal rights activists in the West who argue against the ill treatment of animals, but out here there is no substitute for meat as human fuel and animal fur as insulation. As night fell, there was a distinctly dormitory feeling as Petya gave out duties for the next day.
It would be nice to get involved with some reindeer as well, but I'm happy to chop wood and prepare rice, as long as it's not thought of as women's work. Which I have a feeling it might be.
So tomorrow you'll do the duties of the housewife.
Okay, I'm happy to role play as a woman for a day.
Minda.
What's he want now?
Peter tells you, remember your girlfriend in England.
Yeah.
And it will keep you warm.
What very good advice.
The giggling continued after lights out, but eventually I fell into a fitful sleep. And amazingly, the next morning, I was still alive.
Good morning.
Good morning. During the night it's really cold, yeah?
Yeah.
Did anyone get up and make a fire? I think Kesha did, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He did it twice and Peter once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I didn't do my duty. It was too cold. Oh.
If my journey had taught me anything about life in the freezer, it was that you had to be opportunistic. Before embarking on our mission to herd the reindeer, the nearby river was checked out for fish. A net is spread across the gently flowing river through a gash cut in the ice. Then the beating teams scare the fish down into the net by walking slowly towards it, hammering and bashing the ice for all they're worth. It certainly is good exercise, and the Evans swear by it. Though like fishing the world over, you have good days and you have not so good days.
So I think we may be going hungry this lunchtime.
Yeah, only 2 fish,
Yes.
just for you and me.
I think the fishermen might get first priority.
On the mammalian front, snares are laid down, even though they may not be checked for months ahead, since anything trapped is instantly frozen and perfectly preserved.
Jeez, stiff as a board.
Будем кушать.
Yeah, good to eat. Big bunny rabbit. Rabbit stew tonight. Make a change from the reindeer.
И поднимаешь ногу.
Right, okay, leg up.
That afternoon, I was given a quick reindeer riding lesson in preparation